Hi guys. Right. So now I've changed on where I'm going to be fishing. I'm going to be fishing Ecclesfield. So, and the majority of fishing on Ecclesfield, I think I will be doing on the float, going on past experience. But I will have a sleeper rod out there with boilie on. Now we'll see how we go on. Now, I've 100% confidence in these boilers doing the business on there, to be perfectly honest with you. But what I wanted is, I wanted some really high bloodworm baits. So that's what's coming here. Now, quite a few of these are going to be rolled in 12mm barrels. For the simple reason of, a lot of pellet gets fed in there. So if I can feed them a pellet, which I've done a lot of pellet myself. I did some for one at lads, Paul, and he was chuffed with them. They were coated. But these are going to be bloodworm, and there's more bloodworm in these than I've ever put in anything, to be perfectly honest with you. It's I've just rolled these. I've just rolled them as well. Now these have just been coated. Now this is cocoa corn cream. It's coconut based boiler that's it's solely based around the namesake, cocoa corn cream. It's got a lot of coconut in it. A lot of the cream comes from the baby milk that's in it. And the cocoa comes from the coconut. A lot of coconut in there. So that's where we're at with them. Now, there's a lot of bream in there. So that straight away is making me think back to the old mozzie, treating and mozzie trick of black pepper. A lot of black pepper. And also a lot of chilli flakes. Now they don't like your, they definitely don't like chili and peppercorns, pepper flakes. They definitely don't like it because for the simple reason I've watched them. It's the comment that Dean Riley had out of a day. If you look back on my video logs, you will see that I was feeding a mirror and a common in the snags on treating for a good number of months. It was through lockdown when we were allowed out, but we were only allowed to walk. And that fish showed up on what I call the tree line, the snags. And when it showed up, it was with a mirror. Now, Dean says that common was over £20, which I believe in. It looked a nice fish when I saw it, but I can tell you this now. If that fish was over £20, then the mirror is very nice size indeed. And I mean a very nice size. I'll sometimes feed from them. I will be honest with you, I will sometimes feed from them while I was feeding them. It's just, you would not take a bait in that swim. It was as though they went there to chill, and that was it. They weren't interested in food in the slightest. It was all about a chill area for them. So if Dean sticks it out on there, which I don't know how he's managing to do it, to be honest with you, it's driving me insane, keep catching the same fish. But sometimes you've got to do that when you're chasing a certain fish. I know you've got to give him his credit, you know what I mean? He's sticking at it when, I will be honest with you, I'd have pretty much get up after about 2 years. I would if I wouldn't have got that ban, I would probably get it another year on there. And in that year, I would have done pretty much what I set out to do on there. And I'm pretty much, that's not being big-headed. I'm 100% convinced, and I know I would have done what I meant to set out on there. And it was all about a photo. I'd already had the fish, I just needed a photo of it. And that was that Lynn. Now, there is fish in there you see, what this is going back to the conversation that I had with Tony about stocking. Now, he told me the big common I had was stocked with 3 other commons, and it was all the same size, and 2 mirrors. Right? Now, I got that conversation on phone call. So, if Dean's had that one out of 20, the other common were mid-20, then the other common, it may have got, it may be a low weight, but in my opinion, it'll probably be 20-25 pound. Them 3, if they've all got a pretty much same genetics, they all look very similar, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's I think he's right in what he's saying when he's saying that there's a few hidden gems in there. I do think that he's going to come across something in there that maybe push £30. There may even be a 14 there for all we know, you know what I mean? But at the minute, I've just seen a fish, picture of a fish, and honest to God, it will blow your mind when I've got it on bank. It's absolutely outstanding, and I ain't joking either when I say that. It's one of the best looking fish I've seen. Absolutely stunning. It's a broken linear. It's a linear, but with other sparse scaling around the linear line. So it's got a lovely set of scales down the linear line, and then big mum scales just spread round the cluster of scales at the base of its tail. That fish is ending up on my mat by the end of this season, guarantee it. And this is how I'm going to catch it. On 12mm bloodworm, Evian bloodworm, with a little bit of something in there that I'm using a lot lately, what I really do like, and it's just, there's so much goodness in it that fish farmers use, and breeders of fish, koi and stuff like that, and also fish farmers at Sparshire and stuff like that. Simon Scott and that, he's done talked on it before. Now there's something in this that contains pretty much every single element he talked about in something I watched the other day, and also around about another 40 different items that are pretty much key to keeping a human alive anyway. Calcium and other stuff, zinc, and there's all sorts in it, honestly, absolutely all sorts. Now, it's a lovely liquid, but it is really thick. It's a thick liquid, but it's really nice, and there's a hell of a lot of it in these. What I've done earlier. There's a hell of a lot of it in these. Now, these are what I rolled earlier on today. Now, I did some 20s. Now you see, when I go down there, I'm gonna float fish it for the first day that I go down. Now I'm gonna be baiting a few spots with 20mm, 18s, and 14mm, and it's no 16 and a 14. So that's going to be getting put in, and I will be fishing away from that area. But I'm still going to have a rod on that area, but it's going to be a sleeper rod. It's going to be a rod that's got a wafter on it, and it's just fishing over the top of it. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it does go, it's all set to the minute the fish picks the rig up, it's done for. It's game over for it. With the rig that I'm using on it, it's game over. It will be the bungee rig that I'll be using. But I will be using it with a wafter instead of a pop-up, for the simple reason of I've seen the fish in their feed, and they love getting the nut down. They really love getting the nut down. It's a silty place, so you know what I mean. That they used to feed in that silt. They used to dig in that silt. Now I'm going to put a lot of crumb in because I want to put a lot of crumb in, and I'm also going to put a lot of salt. Not a lot of salt, but enough salt to get them in good condition for when it comes to spawning. So I'm going to put a bit of salt in there as well. There's a little bit of salt in baits, and I want the baits as small as possible because it's fished a hell of a lot. It's fished a couple of times a week with matches. Now, whenever I've been on here, there's always been someone fishing it. Well, more than one, several people fishing it with pellet. So, if I can get a 12mm pellet, then I'm pretty much halfway there, especially if it's a pellet they've not seen before. And that pellet is going to be in the form of bloodworm. So it's going to be a bloodworm 12mm pellet. But what I'm going to do is I can only roll them as 12mm. I've got a pellet, I've actually got a pellet, a 5mm pellet end for my gun, but it's a nightmare to roll. So I'm going to roll them at 12mm, and then when I've done with them, they're going to get chopped up into smaller pieces for them to get. So when the fish come across it, it's going to give all the attraction of bloodworm off them, and they're going to get down, their heads down and feed. Now I won't really be focusing on that spot. I will have a rod on it, but I won't be focusing on it, not 100% until I see activity on that spot. And then once I see activity on that spot, and by activity I mean with a lead going down and feeling it. If I'm just getting a drop where I can feel it's still really, really silty, but after a few weeks of feeding these small food items, it's still going to be silty. It's a really silty pond. The silt is really deep. I've been in shores. So you're still going to get like not a very good drop, but you can just tell the difference of over time. The silt pushes down. It just pushes down on itself, and underneath it forms. It's still thick silt, and if you stood on it, you'd sink because obviously we're quite, you know what I mean. We're heavy, but the thing is you can tell the difference if you've been doing this silt fishing and stuff like that for a while. You can tell the difference when you very first start leading round with a light lead on silt. After a while, you can tell the difference when it's being fed on. It becomes a lot harder. So that's what I'm going to be solely focusing on. So this is what the bait that's going to be for that. So I'm going to roll this tomorrow. It's got a lot of black pepper, a lot of chili flakes in. So I'll leave it 24 hours to soak in there to get that chili and black pepper in there. And then tomorrow I'll roll them. Bloodworm.